Hi guys, Marshall here with this week's live Q&A. Let me know if the audio and video are coming clearly. Just comment so I know, because sometimes we have trouble with it, sometimes we don't. So I just want to make sure that's happening. So thank you guys for the participation that we're seeing in the group, and welcome all the new members. I'm excited that you're here because I know you're going to find tools, you're going to find inspiration, you're going to find community here, and you're going to find you're not alone in this journey. So today I posted 2 questions, and then Dina posted some questions, and I got some questions through email that I think are really, really important, valid things that I think we can all benefit from. So, and that you'll want to know about. So, first question is, how do I handle intense emotion? Intense emotion is an experience of being overwhelmed in the sensations of our body and our mind. So we're like triggered in this experience. Being triggered is one of the easiest. I'm going to mute this here. There we go. Is one of the most common, rather, ways that we become emotionally overwhelmed. And so to regulate our emotions, we need to start a practice of knowing how to calm ourselves down. We can do that through what I call process of regulation, which is gently stroking your palm like this. You can also yawn. That's been scientifically proven. A yawn and a stretch will actually shut down the overwhelm and help your mind clear. But long term, we have to learn how to regulate our emotions by holding space for them, and by, rather than absorbing the emotion, we become an observer of it, rather than, and this could be communicated in a way like this: rather than I am angry, it's more I feel angry, or I'm sad, I feel sad. This gives our brain a separation, a point of view that says, okay, I'm feeling sadness rather than I am sadness. Because when we are something, we're very absorbed in it, very connected to it. But when we feel something or we're experiencing something, we have some space with it so that we can observe it and work through it. Another factor in handling intense emotions is acknowledging that you're having an intense emotion, not trying to control it, but to breathe, to come into it and acknowledge it. There's a process, there's a method I created as in my apprenticeships, and I call it the flow method. We understand what we're feeling, we understand what's happening to us, then we accept what we're feeling, and we're accepting what's happening, and then we allow what we're feeling, and we allow what has happened to be. This moves us into a natural state of openness or release with what's going on. And that can be really difficult if we're going through a lot of shit. When there's a lot of crap going on and it's very difficult, it can be hard to accept and allow those things. The goal here isn't to dismiss or minimize what we're experiencing, it's actually to validate it. So if I'm feeling overwhelmed, I'm going to understand that. I'm going to say, I understand that I feel overwhelmed. I'm going to accept that I feel overwhelmed. And I'm going to allow the fact that I felt overwhelmed to exist. I'm not going to try to change it. This neutralizes one of the biggest factors in emotional intensity, which is resistance. So resistance is like putting your thumb over the end of a hose. What does that do when you do that? It just kind of makes the water go everywhere. And you also get a lot more pressure on it. But when you let your thumb up, it just kind of drizzles out. It's still coming out, but it's just not going everywhere. You have a little more relaxation, not as much effort in it. That's what we're going for. Because when we let go of resistance, we're able to breathe again. We're able to just let the emotion flow. Because one thing we have to come to acknowledge about emotions is that they are not the truth. They are not reality in the fact that they define everything. They're not absolutes. What they are is an experience of what's happening. If you think of it like a picture in a coloring book, we've got a picture of like a tiger. We all see the tiger. The tiger is there, but it's black and white. And my emotions color it. So if I'm feeling the emotion green, I color it with green. But maybe Sally sees it with pink, so she colors it with pink. The tiger is the fact, but how we're perceiving it or what we're experiencing with it is our own reality. That doesn't mean it's less than. That doesn't mean it's not legitimate. It just means that it's subjective, and that's important. Because when we can say, I feel angry about this, or I feel scared about this, or I feel sad about this, we don't judge it and we don't try to make it right or wrong, we get a chance to say, it's okay that I'm sad. It's okay that I'm angry, or it's okay I'm bored, or it's okay I'm happy, or it's okay that I'm numb. That's acceptance. And that creates that allowance and that release to let it move. Because we don't have to fix what we feel, because what we feel is real and it's working. There's nothing wrong with it, there's nothing broken with it. It's just we need to get out of the way of judging and trying to control it. So that's how I handle intense emotions. If you want to go deeper on that, you can do a meditation regimen that helps you begin to observe what you feel rather than react to it internally by judging it or trying to control it. And that can be, I highly recommend that, and I can do a class on that because that's a pretty powerful technique, but it does take a little discipline. So remember, you can regulate, you can yawn, and then you can understand, accept, and allow what you're feeling and allow it to work with you. So you don't have the resistance in the way, and you can breathe again. All right. So the second question is, are my fears something I need to fix, or something I need to hear? This comes up from a couple of conversations I've had with clients lately about how they're trying to neutralize their fear. They feel like their sense of fear, their scaredness is something wrong with them, wrong for the situation. And they're like, well, if I get rid of this, then the situation will be right. That's not true. A lot of times our fear shows up because the situation or the person we're dealing with lacks enough validation to be safe. It hasn't reached a quotient or a quota or a level where it says, it makes sense to feel safe with this person. Especially if we're dealing with people from our past that have abused or neglected us, we're naturally going to have fear there. So that doesn't mean it's some sort of wound from the past showing up. It does mean the body's saying, I don't trust this person. I'm very wary of this, and I don't want to do this. So we got to respect that. We got to hear that and acknowledge it. So a lot of times our fears are signals about the circumstance, and not all the time about some sort of past trauma. It can be the reason, let me restate this. Well, we'll know if it's from past trauma if you're actually in a healthy dynamic and they're treating you with love, respect, attention, and attentiveness, and you're still having intense fear about trusting them or disclosing things like that. Then we've got a trauma in effect. But if there's a history of them overwhelming you or not hearing you, or there's poor communication, or it's hostile conflict, then we got a problem, and it's natural to feel fear about that. So I want you to think about that as you deal with the other people in your life. Is this fear legitimate based on my experience with this person? Rather than going for an all or nothing point of view of, I got to get rid of the fear. Because even eliminating your fear in a toxic relationship isn't going to fix the relationship. You can't change the other person by changing how you feel. It's not going to happen. So, all right. So Dina asks a big question: how to resolve interpersonal conflict and how to avoid co-triggering meltdown. That's a complex question, how to resolve interpersonal conflict. It really depends on the situation, and it depends on how you guys communicate. Because if we're unwilling to hear what the other person needs and what they're actually saying, then we're not going to get anywhere. If they're not willing to hear us, then we're not going to get anywhere. A lot of times we have to go into the experience of hearing what they need rather than judging what they're saying, or going into one of the the four horsemen of the apocalypse, as John Gottman calls them, which is contempt, criticism, defensiveness, and stonewalling. Criticism is, hey, this is stupid. Why are we doing this? What your needs aren't really all that important. Are you dumb? And that goes right into contempt. Contempt's all about criticizing and attacking the character, diminishing their experience. Gaslighting often comes into that component of conflict. Defensiveness is, hey, I didn't do this, or you're remembering it wrong, or, well, you do this too, that kind of thing. And then stonewalling is, I'm done. We're not talking about this anymore. And they shut you down. So how to resolve interpersonal conflict? Number one, you need to learn how to communicate. You got to hear. You got to actively listen, which means, okay, you told me you're frustrated with what you're feeling. I'm going to restate this back to you, saying, I hear you. You said this, and this is how you're feeling. So you can confirm what you're hearing rather than run off your own assumptions about what they're hearing. If they say, hey, I'm frustrated, then accept it. Don't try to project feelings onto people. Don't take your intuitions or hunches on people and put it onto them. Instead, restate what you're experiencing or what you see or hear from them and validate their side. And then invite, and if they're doing that with you, you're both are going to end up hearing each other. You can also use the reach model, which I'll post in the group again. But you want to really understand that interpersonal conflict also doesn't have to be resolved in one sitting. Sometimes these things need to be talked about over time. And we have to let up on controlling the outcome because a relationship is both of you. And you both have needs and you both have a desire in this. And you got to hear that and then figure out ways to make that happen. So, like I said, that's a complex question, and it's really on a case by case, situation by situation issue, and couple by couple, because no two couples seem to actually handle conflict identically to other ones. So you want to think about that. And then you can't avoid co-triggering. You can take complete and 100% ownership of your thoughts, feelings, actions, and desires, and stop. If you're in a habit of blaming, stop blaming them. Stop making it about them. Stop acting or playing a victim role and own your choices, own your actions, own your desires, and own your feelings in a way that says, okay, I feel upset about this. I would like this instead. What do you think about that? Triggering is going to happen, but if you're triggered, that's yours. That's not their problem to fix. If they're triggered, that's their problem to fix, not yours. So rather than trying to avoid that kind of thing, you want to go into it directly. You want to be honest. You want to be gentle, but you want to be direct. It's like, hey, I'm confused about what's going on. I'm sorry for what's happening here, or I'm sorry for what I did, or I'm confused by this. Can we talk about it? Or I have a concern about this thing and I'd like to discuss it. That's how we can broach conflict very easily. We can talk about the problems without having to escalate it. Okay. And then we have one question that came in via email. And it is about the difference between people pleasing and doing what's called acts of service, which is one of the 5 love languages. So people pleasing is all about getting someone else to feel better so you feel better about you. A lot of times we do it in hopes that they'll do something to us because we did something to them. I call that a give to get model. People pleasing is also used as a way of avoiding conflict or trying to buy or earn points with them so you can get something you want later on. Makes it safer to ask for something, that kind of thing. And people pleasing can also be about manipulating the other person so we can get what we want passive aggressively. It's like, well, I'm going to do this and I hope they do this in return. So a lot of times if we're in people pleasing mode, we're hoping to get something out of it. We're hoping they'll react a specific way. We're hoping we'll avoid something. We're not giving it generously. Whereas acts of service is a display of love. It's a love language, so we're going to do something for this person because we love them, and it's something that's relevant to them. Because in people pleasing, a lot of times it's not about really relevant to them. It's about what we think they want versus what they've expressed they want. And so acts of service is an attentive act. So it's, hey, they expressed they wanted this kind of toy or this kind of go to this movie or go out and do this thing, and then we arrange it in a way that works with them. That's a really loving, attentive act. So that's the difference between pleasing and acts of service. So thank you guys for being a part of Thrive. If you're ready, if you really want to heal, make sure you check out the Heal program. Also, let me know of any other questions you have. Feel free to post in the group. And remember, guys, you're worth loving, you're worth knowing, and you're worth keeping. We'll talk next week. Thank you, guys. Bye-bye.